Global PAC Nation, AfriKili family, welcome to another edition of the Global PAC Show. This is your host, Tony Mfumusimba. Excited once again to be here in front of you today. Can't believe it, the train has left the station. This is episode 4, folks, so we're in week number 2 of these lives. And as we've been going, the excitement keeps building up. And before starting, let me just thank all of you who, since we began, are supporting this show. And as we're engaging, as we're going forward, let me also reiterate the fact that as this platform is growing, I will need your help. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, you like, you share, you comment, so that we can grow the platform and hit the goals that we have set forth. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? As has been the theme for the whole week since the inauguration, obviously, President Donald J. Trump is in the office, in the Oval Office, the White House. He has began enacting his mandate, as he so calls it. Well, there seems to have been a lot of disruptions that some of the action that Donald Trump has taken is causing, but not only disruptions, but also fear. As a matter of fact, as I was going through some news headlines yesterday, earlier this morning, there were a few things that just caught my eye. So I wanted us to discuss some of those occurrences, but most importantly, the title of this show today is really overcoming some of the disruptions that are being caused by this current administration, overcoming the fear, but also thriving, because despite all of it, I believe that the future is still bright. And hopefully at the end of this talk today, you will also be convinced that despite everything that's happening, all these disruptions, the future really remains bright. Well, in terms of some of the disruptions, a couple of days ago, I talked about the DEI. You know that President Trump took measures to essentially suspend all diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, which in some circles can be seen as advancing meritocracy, as they like to put it. My view is a bit different. It's really taking a step backwards, because DEI efforts with precision, when it's not just englobing everything, but with targeted actions, can go a long way in reducing some of the injustices that were caused by previous policies. And so we do need policies to correct some of those injustices. Nevertheless, there's something this morning. I was reading also an article about what's happening on the border. Obviously, President Trump made immigration one of his main subjects, his main topics during the campaign. Well, as of today, there's an app called the CBP app, right? CBP stands for the Custom and Border Patrol. Well, there's an app that was put together by the Biden administration. And so as people came through the southern border, they were incentivized to subscribe on that app and wait to be called at the border, so they would be listened to and then let in. And then the process of asking for asylum and so on would be undertaken. And so this app was essentially a lottery, but thousands of people went through it. As a matter of fact, 1 million people had been undergoing through this process, and there was a long wait. So, and the incentive was that if you went through that app, there was a pathway through legalization, as opposed to you just entering illegally, which would make things more complicated. Well, as of today, President Trump suspended that app. So you had people who had been waiting for a long time in line. And that obviously caused a lot of fear. You have people crying, not sure what to do next. Beyond the United States, I also look at things happening around the world. You have the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Central Africa. I know this is a total 180 from President Trump, but it's still very relevant. There is conflict happening in Eastern Congo, a city called Goma, Goma, which is surrounded by rebels. Why is that relevant? Because obviously, or maybe not so obviously to you, that area of the world is essential to our technology, to the energy transition in America, in the West, in Asia, and so on, because the Congo happens to have some of the biggest mineral deposits for cobalt, which Elon Musk with his Tesla vehicles and so on do rely upon. And so what's happening in that part of the world has a massive impact on the energy transition and technology. But unfortunately, that conflict getting really close to that city, as I say, Goma, one of the biggest cities in the country of the Congo in Central Africa, caused panic. You had people fleeing, and it was a lot of uncertainties and fears in that area as well. You have what's happening in Haiti. That has been ongoing for a while, but also a lot of disruption and a lot of and fear as well. So the theme here has been disruption and fear, and based on the headlines that I just went through, or just some of the quick comments on some of the issues, one might say that, goodness gracious, there's so much upheaval around the world. What is happening? The world is going down the drain. That might be a point of view. What I'd like for us to discuss today is that, yes, that is definitely a reality. There's a lot of fear that's causing depressions and uncertainty about the future and so on. Nevertheless, from a Global PAC standpoint, Global PAC being our platform, and if you're new to this, Global PAC, PAC standing for Pan-African coalitions, Pan-African communities. From our point of view, no matter what the issue, it is essential to identify how to get to a positive outcome. And it's not always about, on our platform at least, the focus is not just to set forth problems and putting them on the table, but rather, once that is done, then what are the next steps, right? And how do we move ahead from that with a positive mindset? That is something that I believe in. And that is what we'll do today. That's a discussion we'll have, which should be a very short discussion, unlike the last two podcasts or lives that we had, which went, I think, over 40 minutes. So I'll do my best to really keep it shorter today. So there you have it. Fasten your seatbelt. Let's dive in and let's get to work. Okay, folks. Now, here's what I like to say in light of all these uncertainties, upheavals. Some people on the political scene, for example, in the United States, if you're a Trump supporter, you're happy. If you're not, then it's like, oh my God, what will happen? What the future seems so bleak, and so on. Here's what I like to say. I like to say that, with all of this situation, quite frankly, there's a way. It's sometimes about a paradigm, right? You can decide to view all these uncertainties and issues as either a glass that is half full or half empty. I really believe that it's a matter of a paradigm. Now, I get it. It is easier said than done, right? And the issues that I described, whether it's Haiti, the DRC, and so on, I mean, when you have people really fearing for their lives and going through some very tangible difficulties, not knowing how to feed their children, people have been waiting in line for months, and then suddenly having the rug pulled under their feet and so on, telling them that it's just a paradigm shift could be seen as heartless and even an insult. I totally get it. Trust me. The pain is real. The fear that people are feeling is based on some real experiences that they're going through. So I do not want to sound heartless as I'm talking about this, but still, I want to point out that, as we go through history, I mean, history is littered with horrors and difficulties that societies has to overcome. And they did. And if they did, my point is that we can do it as well. Okay? We can do it as well. So those of us that really have the ability to challenge the status quo should join the arena and get our hands dirty. We need to join the arena. Get in the fight. Aggressively attack the issues. It's kind of like there's a quote I like from Hannibal, even though I'm not the biggest Hannibal fan. but it's you either find a way or you make a way, right? And so in the face of all that is unfolding across the global PAC world, whether again here in the United States with all the step back in with regards to the DEI efforts and so on, whether it's in the DRC, whether it's in Haiti, whether it's with our immigrant or migrant brothers and sisters, we have to find a way or make a way. But one thing I strongly believe, brothers and sisters, is that almost nothing, and I repeat, nothing, in my opinion, in the world can resist human energy. When we're persistent about aggressively attacking a problem, we find a solution. We find a solution. There is a book that I read not too long ago called The Laws of Human Nature. There's an interesting analogy that they bring up in that book is when they talk about the infant's willfulness and persistence. So in other words, you see how when we're kids, I mean, we are so determined. Just look at the case of a child who's learning how to walk, for example. Imagine if that child fell down and then decided, you know what, this walking business is really not for me. I mean, it's too hard. I will just give up. I mean, what would happen to us? But no, that's not even a thought, right? If you're healthy enough as to where your limbs are working properly, it is coded in you that failure is not an option. You will fall, you will get up. You will fall, you will get up. You will fall, you will get up because you are determined to walk. And so as we attack some of these issues that we're facing, it is important to regain that persistence and infant's willfulness. As I said, I mean, there's really nothing in the world that can resist our human energy once we decide to overcome it. So yeah, all right. So now, another thing you might say, sure, it's, overcoming fear. Again, sounds good. It's good to say it. You're behind a microphone and so on. Yeah, all kumbaya, painting the world with rosy glasses. Some might have that attitude again. And you might wonder, okay, so how can we tangibly advance things? How can we tangibly attack the status quo? Well, there is different way to go about it. Within this platform, within the AfriKili movement, within the Global PAC platform, you know that my solution to this problem has always been to advance the Global PAC, Global Pan-African coalitions. It's about bringing together, right, different communities within the Pan-African diaspora, working together, advocating together so that we can advance our business interest across the world for people of African descent. Global PAC, Global Pan-African Coalitions, and Global Pan-African Communities. That is my way of attacking these problems efficiently, tangibly. By doing so, we'll be more effective to eradicate some of these barriers that were built. But also, as we do so, it is important to overcome some of the false stereotypes, right, which can occur when you have a lack of interaction by different members of the Global PAC or different Pan-African diaspora communities. And so on that note, some might say, different communities in the Pan-African diaspora are just way too different to work together. I do not subscribe to that philosophy. Let me just be straight up front. And as a matter of fact, I strongly invite you to go back on the channel, on the AfriKili YouTube page. There's a series that I made back then about unity. It was a 3-part series where I really laid the case and demonstrated how, different Pan-African communities of people of African descent and so on across the world are not too different to really work effectively in coalitions. They're not too different. As a matter of fact, there are bonds that have always existed and that are still existent today. I really invite you to review some of those videos on the channel, and you will see we can work effectively together, but we need to do it strategically. All right, by building strong relationships and definitely dispelling some of the stereotypes that are out there. So by doing so, by really focusing on the things that unite us and overcoming some of the differences, we can really, really be effective. I strongly believe that. Now, what the philosophy that I set forth might not be your cup of tea. If that's the case, you still want to join a movement, want to join a platform that will allow you to act. And if you're still wondering and asking yourself, and you say, you know what, I have the desire to be involved. I really want to participate in efforts that help advance the Global PAC, the global Pan-African communities in the Americas, in the Caribbean, in Europe, and so on. And if you're uncertain how to do that and you're still kind of exploring and just thinking about it, then I urge you to join us. And it's very simple. Start by subscribing to this channel so that at least you can be part of the conversation as we're growing. Visit our blog online, AfriKili.com. So www.afrikili.com. Put in your email address, and you'll be part of this movement. And so as our coalitions are growing and becoming stronger, this will be another platform to allow you to be part of the conversation and be involved as we're attacking the status quo. But no matter what, we need to act, brothers and sisters. We really need to act. It's kind of like the quote that I also like. I'm a guy full of quotes, I get it. But I love the quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he say, look, if you cannot fly, run. If you can't run, if you can't fly, run. If you can run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. By any means, you have to keep moving forward. So that is the case here, brothers and sisters. Global PAC Nation, AfriKili family. We have to keep moving forward with a conqueror's mindset. I'm one of those people who, look, man, I know for a fact that our Global PAC movement, our AfriKili movement, is on the up. And we need to have the mindset, that confident mindset. I have no hesitation. As you can see in my eyes, I am fully determined and convinced that we will get there. Moving with that conqueror's mentality, right? It's like that the Latin phrase, Veni, vidi, vinci. I came, I saw, and I conquered. Yes, sir. I came, I saw, and I conquered. That is the mindset. So we need to act together moving forward. And we cannot hesitate. We absolutely can't. Because we have to understand that life, just visualize this, as you're living life, as we're living this life, it's like we're playing a game of chess or checkers, and imagine that board game in front of you, and your opponent, who can also be your partner playing against you, is time. Father Time. Well, time will not wait for you. If you're hesitant or you take too long to act, your pieces will be taken off the board by time. Time does not tolerate indecision. So we need to be decisive and act decisively as we work on building our coalitions. Really, the time to act is now, and the time to build strong coalitions in the Global PAC, the Global Pan-African Communities, Global Pan-African Coalition. The time is now. The time is now, brothers and sisters. We cannot hesitate. All right, I said this talk would be short. We've been on for what? For 19 minutes now. Okay, so I think I'll end it here. But as I'm closing, again, let me invite you to subscribe to the channel. It takes you less than a second. By doing it, not only will you help this platform grow, but you'll also stay informed as the platform is going. You'll be notified. Click the bell so that as new lives are coming up, you can participate. As you watch it after the fact, include your comments. Tell us what you'd like to see as an improvement. As the interviews are coming up, I promise you an interview. I'm working on, there's a businessman that will come and that will tell us about not only the tech sector in which he is very prominent and successful in, but just give us some golden nuggets and so on how we can participate. Because I understand that one of the pillars of the AfriKili movement is business, right? We have 3 pillars. We have history, because it's important to know where we came from to avoid mistakes of the past. We have political involvement. We need to be involved politically in coalitions, but we also have business, because money talks and BS walks, right? He who has the gold rules. So it's important that our communities strengthen ourselves in terms of building wealth and really amassing the necessary financial wealth, financial capital, so that we can impose and demand certain changes. But we need money to do that. So make sure to to join, subscribe, share, and so on and so forth. All right, to close, I'd like to close with a quote. That's, as you've seen since we began last week, it's something I like doing, just ending on a positive note and hopefully quoting somebody who will also inspire you. It is inspirational, and I hope we'll be able to continue doing it. So for today's quote, I'm going to quote Thomas Sankara. Let me bring up the quote here. So it's a quote in French. I will start by setting it on the screen. We'll do the French version, and then I will translate it for you in English. Is it on the screen? Okay, yeah, there you go. So Thomas Sankara, he was obviously the president of the country called Burkina Faso until he was assassinated. Prominent Pan-Africanist. I came to the United States, gave a rousing speech in the Bronx. I highly recommend that you go online, just type in Thomas Sankara if you've never heard that speech in the Bronx. Oh my, fiery speech about unity. Well, in this quote here, so I'll read it in French and then we'll do the English translation. So in French, he says, "Vous ne pouvez pas accomplir des changements fondamentaux sans une certaine dose de folie. Dans ce cas précis, cela vient de l'anticonformisme, du courage de tourner le dos aux vieilles formules, du courage d'inventer le futur. Il a fallu des fous d'hier pour que nous soyons capables d'agir avec une extrême clarté aujourd'hui. Je veux être un de ces fous. Nous devons inventer le futur." All right, so obviously this is an English channel, so that was the original quote because I wanted to give him all his due respect and, to bring it in the original way, original language. Now in English, what does it what does it look like? So here's the English version. And it says, "You cannot accomplish fundamental changes without a certain amount of madness." I love this. In this case, it comes from nonconformity, from the courage to turn one's back on old formulas, from the courage to invent the future. It took the madman of yesterday for us to be able to act with extreme clarity today. I want to be one of those madmen. We must invent the future. I just love this quote, guys. I mean, that is so powerful. So that is where I'll end it today. We need to invent the future. Turn our back on old formulas, on the status quo. As a community, the Global PAC, we've been too dispersed. There's been great effort for us to come together, but we need to take it to the next step. And together, we can be that strong and powerful force, and we can resist some of the changes that we're seeing that might be deficient to our communities, whether it's here in the United States, whether it's in Africa on the continents, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in the Americas and South America, you name it. But Global PAC. So Global PAC Nation and AfriKili family, I say that the future is bright and it offers endless possibilities, but we have to unite. Until next time, peace be with you. Asante sana, which means thank you very much in Swahili. And remember, we are the Global PAC.